Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
I ultimately know that, getting that notice that your 10-year high school anniversary is coming around can make you feel like the world is ending. But what if it actually did? And if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you're in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of entertainment industry professionals, and we pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and in a conversational fashion. And if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that you do, because quite frankly, you're listening right now. If you are, subscribe. Mash that subscribe button. Give us the like. Give us the old 5-star rating on your podcast provider of choice. We're pretty much everywhere. Over at places like Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google, and plus we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel. So if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, we would absolutely appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to check us out on social media. We're on the Facebook. We're on the Twitter. We're on the Instagram. We're on the TikTok, and we're on the Letterboxd for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at intheseats.ca for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because, if we love to write about it and talk about it, we love it when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So please pay us a visit. On this episode, we got a fun one. It is a new show debuting over with our friends over at Prime Video today, and it's called The Class of '07, and it's the story of when an apocalyptic tidal wave hits during the 10-year reunion of an all-girls high school. A group of women must find a way to survive on the island peak of their high school campus. This is an Australian production, but it, like I said, debuted on Prime, and it's a lot of fun. Like, there's some drama, but there's comedy, and it's one of those stories that allows you to laugh at yourself, but also sort of let go of the stuff that we've all hung on to since high school. It's really a smart and really an entertaining show. And in advance of the release of the show, which was today, we had the unique pleasure of sitting down with a couple of the stars. One Emily Browning and one Catlin Stasey to talk about how they got involved with the show, the nature of the series, and just that high school shit, which like I said, we all have a little bit of, but this definitely works out in an entertaining and funny way. If you have Prime Video, I do recommend you check out The Class of '07, which is available on the service now. But first, please enjoy our talk with the two stars, Emily and Catlin, because between you and me, it is a darn good one. All right. Well, obviously, first off, just thank you so much for the time and congratulations on the show. I loved it.
Thank you. We're very proud of it. Yeah.
Now, walk me through sort of getting that script, because it's funny, but there's a lot of earnest and sort of heartfelt stuff in the show too. Like, walk me through sort of your initial reactions.
I was just really impressed. It's rare, unfortunately, to read scripts that you actually really respond to. There's a lot of stuff out there that isn't always to your taste. And when I first got the script, my first audition for Teresa, weirdly enough, but it was an accident. I wasn't meant to, which is a little frightening that mistakes like that can happen. But yeah, so I was just I was really excited, and I kind of knew immediately that if they wanted me, I would do it.
Yeah, I kind of had the same experience. My agent sent it to me kind of like, oh, you're probably not going to be into this because it's a comedy. And I read it and I was like, actually, this kind of seems like maybe exactly what I want to do. It's such a nice break from all of the dark, depressing shit that I usually want to do. It was also terrifying. It's really vulnerable to just be embarrassing yourself every day in service of a funny script. But the heartfeltness I didn't notice as much while we were filming it, and then when I'm watching it I'm like, oh wow, this is really quite sweet.
Yeah, and I think we're both very moved just by the whole effort, because we as a cast are quite close and we really enjoyed each other's company, and so it's even just looking at it feels quite emotional.
Yeah, it does.
Was it easier for you both to sort of find the characters? Because, really, at the end of the day, we all have a little bit of that high school shit that we kind of hang on to. You know what I mean? Like, how easy was it for you to sort of tap into the mindset?
A little too easy.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think Zoe, my character, is I think I have a lot of her in me, and it's the part of me that I try to hide. I think she's me if I was like 50% more desperate and 50% less self-aware. Do you know what I mean? But it was interesting to like that she's very sort of like, oh, is everyone hanging out without me? Like, what's going on? And I have a lot of that in me, and I'm always trying to repress it. So I think it was interesting to like put that part of myself to the forefront of the character.
Yeah. And it feels like it's hard to embarrass somebody too, which is a quality that I think is quite
which is really embarrassing to do for me.
No, I mean, I've got to ask, because obviously the first episode was sort of the dance and all the sequences. It was so much fun. But I mean, I've got to ask, was that shot first as like an icebreaker, or did that get saved till last as sort of a celebration?
The icebreaker was actually us. We choreographed that dance. Actually, she put us in a room. Kacie put us in a room and was like, everyone say hi. Now make up a dance that you would have made up in high school. So, yeah. I was
luckily not subjected to that.
You weren't there.
They had all this embarrassing soul sharing, dancing stuff, and then I walked in kind of towards the tail end of it all, and I avoided all of it, which I think honestly helped set me up. Well, I had a conflict with another thing that I was doing, but I think it worked out kind of perfectly because Saskia is she's not necessarily unreadable, but she's quite removed from her feelings, and she doesn't sort of let other people see her. So But I felt very Zoe-ish when I finally got to Sydney and got to set and met everyone, because I wanted very much to be adored immediately. And it took a bit of work.
No, I mean, on something like this, like, when you're in the middle of it shooting, do you have a sense of the energy or the sense that it's turning out well? Or is it the kind of thing where you have to wait until post when you actually finally get to see it? Because, I mean, I can imagine it goes both ways.
Yeah, I found it, I feel like it's always kind of difficult to know, and often I can be misled by I've felt great about things and then they turn out really shit, and I've felt shit about things and they turn out great. I think it was especially tricky for me this time just because I've never done comedy, and I knew that everyone else was funny. I knew that it was, from what I was seeing, it was working for me, but it's really hard to know if you're hitting it.
Yeah,
you know,
and because they say like you make something in 3 parts, right? Like the writing, then the filming, then the editing. And due to Kacie's sort of vision, she had a very particular focus for what the show was going to feel like, that we all knew. And there was a really like fast clip on set, but then when you actually watch it all cut together, it's so seamless. Like it's not that we didn't have faith, but because it was such a like hit the ground running. Yeah. And there's so many of us, you've got 12 women kind of all running around, screaming, fake vomiting, fake shitting. Like it was really fun. It felt like a big sleepover. Yeah. Not to sound cheesy, but it really did.
No, it really did. And because of that,
okay, so nobody went method.
No, but sometimes because so much fun, it was like hard to, like, I would stop a few times and be kind of like, oh shit, are we making a good
show? Because there's that cliche they say, if you have fun making it, people don't have fun watching it, because you get too in love with your own. But luckily we're all very, like, I think, pretty intelligent women, and we're all pretty self-critical, and we all hold each other to a pretty high standard, I think, and expect the best from each other.
Yeah, for sure.
This is such a unique collision of genres. I mean, on paper, I don't think people would have expected a disaster movie and sort of the high school reunion movie to work. But I mean, from both your perspectives, why do you think this show works as well as it does? Because I mean, again, it's one of those, it's the peanut butter and jelly thing. You don't, like, separately, you don't think they're going to work, but when you put them together, they're magic.
I think it's casting. I think that honestly, this show was cast so impeccably. Everybody does. There's no weak link. There's no everybody is just, and it's like a symbiosis. It's like we're kind of an ecosystem. It really feels like we all complement each other so well. The downs, the highs.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the only reason that it worked, actually. I think that also, I mean, I feel like this is such like common kind of cliche answer, but what makes it work is the groundedness of the relationships within the ridiculous circumstances.
Totally.
Which is, I think that's the fact that, like, you actually, I mean, all this ridiculous weird shit is going on, and our characters are kind of simultaneously really heightened, but then have these moments of like genuine, like, I don't know, like it's the friendship stuff that makes it kind of, I think that makes you want to keep watching it. The kind of the stakes of like stressful, dramatic female friendships.
And the absurdity of the circumstances is funny. Like tragedy is comedy. What is it? Comedy is tragedy plus time or something. So like, yeah, in this scenario, so many apocalyptic, I feel like almost every apocalyptic show is a drama, and it's quite heavy, and it's about loss. And while that is present in our show, it's also about just like the fucking minutiae of having to live.
Like how the hell do we do this? You can't like be living in, like at some point when a traumatic event happens, you stop living in the trauma of it and you start just being like, okay, well, we have to keep making jokes. We have to keep like finding something to eat. Like it's sort of, totally. I don't know.
No, I mean, this really straddled that line so beautifully. And I mean, I think that's why audiences are going to get drawn into it. And I mean, and just to put a bow on this, because I mean, Emily, as you said, obviously people know you from a lot more serious stuff. And I mean, Caitlin, people saw you recently in something like Smile. Like, for you both going forward, is it about trying to sort of mix up the material that you do, or is it just going to, at the end of the day, going to go down to sort of like quality of stuff on the page, and if stuff pops out at you as you know, as you go forward in your careers and look at other jobs?
I think both of those things are true for me. Like I definitely I don't want to just keep doing the same shit over and over again. We actually talked about this at one point, that like, I remember you said, and I've stolen this line and used it in a few interviews, that you said that this show was like an ego death, that you were like, I felt specifically like, okay, I take myself too seriously, and I really would like to, in my work, I take myself too seriously, and in my life, I don't at all. And I'm like, I need to get out of that headspace of trying to be, I don't know, I just was ready to like embarrass myself. I think that's what I needed to do. I wanted to be like vulnerable and just like make a fool of myself. And it felt like important.
And really put it all out there, and it really paid off. And I think people are going to be really surprised and really like excited to see her in this position. Because growing up, I also knew who Emily was, and she was this kind of like mysterious figure. And
not anymore.
And but like still a little, but like, you know, there's so much availability from Zoe. And with Saskia, like the reason I loved it so much is that I'm often getting cast in kind of I wouldn't say heroine roles, but like as an audience perspective, like I get cast as someone that you should like. And so this is the first time I've ever been allowed to be sort of, you know, to sound kind of lame and therapized about it, my shadow self in front of people. And like I said, it was quite easy to tap into, because we've all got a bit of mean girl energy in us somewhere. And so playing I personally don't think of Saskia as a villain necessarily, but if you're simplistic about it, I guess she is in a way. And I just want to do that forever. It's great to play someone who just has a set of, like, I think of her as, you know, kind of like chaotic lawful, where she just like is doing, I don't even know if you can do that. That's a Dungeons and Dragons reference. So
But I mean, you know what? I mean, this show kind of embraces the gonzo, but the characters are still really kind of rooted in something human and real. And I mean, I think that's where people are going to dive into it and just eat it up. But I mean, to you both, honestly, congratulations on the show, and keep up the good work. Thank you for the time today.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
All right. And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.